All right, these are my new to me used 1200 Sportster cylinder heads. We got these from somebody on Marketplace. They had a carburetor and some bunch of other stuff for sale. So I think we got these. Got a set of cylinders. These ones here, heads, carburetor, intake manifolds, some motor mounts, and air cleaner, and a bunch of various other little parts. So I'm going to pop these apart. A lot of times you just, I'll take these to help unseat the keepers a little bit. Sometimes they're a little bit tough depending on how many miles and how they've been beat on. Just give them a little tappy tap there. Helps to break the keepers loose. And we put our valve spring compressor in there. Grab our trusty valve spring compressor. Grab a magnet. Trying to make sure you can see this. That's one. Oh man, look at that. Valves look good, don't they? Hell, that valve looks new almost. We'll check those out in a minute. Valve seat looks good. These look like very low mileage heads compared to the other ones. Yeah, look at that. Valve looks perfect. Seats look good. Exhaust guide ain't got no slop in it. Intake guide ain't got no slop. Let me grab something to pull these seals off of here. All right, had to find my valve seal pullers. I got a complete set of pullers and installers there. Usually you just use a pair of pliers, but I got these. That one's loose. That exhaust there is good and tight. These are the old K-line seals. They work good. Got a whole box full of them over there. And for the 5/16 valves and the 3/8. Pull our lower collars off of here. if I can get a hold of it. There we go. Now let's check the temperatures on these here. We'll compare them to the other heads over there. Yeah, they're actually about the same as the other heads, so they're close to it. A couple thousandths off here and there, but these heads are definitely in better condition. Seats are nice and thin. 45s are still thin on them. Valves definitely look great. I'll end up bluing these and checking where the valve seat actually is, or probably lap them in to find out where the seat actually is. But so far they look pretty good, feel pretty good. It's just missing one stud out of here. I'm glad it wasn't broken. Let's take these other ones off of here. I'm glad I still got my old Blue Point valve spring compressor. I bought this thing probably, God, I don't even know how many years ago. I was working at a Ford dealer, so probably about 38 years ago, 38, 39 years ago. I was working at a Ford dealer in Rockville, Maryland, and needed a set. I was doing some work on a Mustang 5.0 for one of the body shop guys. Basically just putting the cam in it and some other stuff. And Snap-on guy rolls by and I'm like, hey man, I need a valve spring compressor. He had one on the truck. I don't remember how much it was, but it's gotten a lot of use since then, so it's more than paid for itself. Yep, valves look good. Oh yeah, cylinder heads look good, valves look good. I'll be reworking these heads, cleaning up the ports, and probably topping off the guides a little bit. It's just something I normally do. Just come in here with my valve guide tool and shorten the guides, and I'll check the valve to stem or top collar to seal clearance, which isn't really important on this thing because I'm just using bolt-in cams, but I like to set them up anyway, so in the future if I want to, I can pop some bigger springs in there and do it. Now I'll be reusing these springs, and I'll do a separate video on that, mainly because I ain't got the money to buy new springs, but I can use these stock springs. They're good for what we're doing. They're good for about at least 6,800. I'll have to measure the installed height, and then what I'll do is I'll shim them. I'll do coil bind, and then I'll add 80 thousandths to that, and then set that as my new installed height, so I can pack the springs with shims if I need to, depending on what my coil bind is on springs. But that's it for those heads. I'm not going to CC these heads because I already know what they're supposed to be. I know I'm lowering I'm fixing the deck heights on the cylinders there, which were below what they should be. Just using thinner base gaskets on it, and I'll end up using thinner head gaskets too to bump the compression up slightly. It won't be much more. I think it probably calculated it's like 9.2, 9.3 to 1, which is slightly higher than what these things are supposed to be. These things are only 9 to 1 to begin with. But with the correct deck height and with a thinner head gasket, it should be 9.3, 9.4, I think is what we calculated. And of course I'll be fixing these combustion chambers in here where this little lip right here, smooth that out. It helps with low flow or low lift flow out of there, so the air coming up and hitting this little trough right here and right here on the intake. But that only takes out, probably not even 1 cc, which in the scheme of things ain't a whole lot. So these are the 1.71 intake valves. I like to have to find somebody with a valve grinder that'll do them. I like to cut these stock valves, go in here and chuck them up in the valve grinder and cut a 30-degree almost all the way out to where the valve is seating. It lightens it up slowly, but mostly it helps with low lift flow. It helps with flow across the board, really. Started doing that when I first started doing these things a really long time ago. I read it somewhere in old, actually I saw a picture of it in an really old like World War II aircraft engine thing where they were taking the valves and cutting 30-degree on the back of them. And some of them were cutting the stems down to like grinding the stems where it comes out of the valve guide, grinding down to like 7 millimeters. Now the newer valves are 7 millimeters. I'm not doing a 7 millimeter conversion on there. It would be nice to do that, but I'm trying to do this on the cheap. I was doing it in a fully equipped shop, what I used to do was weld these seats up, take a valve and stick it in there, weld them up, pop the seats out, and then put big twin size seats in here, or bigger seats. So I could use like 1.9-inch valves or even 1/940s in the Sportster head. And I still use the smaller 1.5 exhaust valves just for valve-to-valve clearance issues with some cams, where the valve lift at top dead center, sometimes you run into, well, here, let me show you. I'm right here already, I might as well show you. That's where the valves are both open at top dead center. And you're going to measure in between valve to valve. See how they hit right there? Now that's kind of exaggerated because that's a really high top dead center lift. These things with and bolt-in cams, TDC lift's pretty low. So what you'd be looking for is about 80 thousandths clearance between the valves right here and here before they kiss. I've run them closer than that, but you really don't want to, and you're using really good springs at that point with a lot of open poundage. You know, you're talking 400 pounds of open pressure or more just to keep the valves in line. But we'll get to it. Now really, to check these valves as far as valve to guide clearance, you just need a micrometer and some little ball, expandable ball checker. I guess you could use a really small T gauge. It's not quite as good as the ball ones, but works in a pinch. So all you're going to do there is you're going to measure the valve, just a micrometer, measure it down probably 6 places, get an average, and then you're going to run your ball in there and check it 3 or 4 places up and down the guide, and then the clearance will be, you know, you're going to measure the ball when you pull it out, or the T gauge, and the clearance between that and the valve will be the difference. So just say intakes in these are supposed to be 1/1000ths, 1 to 2 thousandths, intakes 2 to 3 thousandths, which with I probably got 1 thousandths worth of shake in there on this valve. Actually, that's the wrong valve. That's the exhaust valve. So I got probably about 2 on that exhaust. And that's just for me doing a lot of these over the years. Probably thousands. The exhaust is about 1/1000th. About. If you're not sure, you need to measure them or take it to a shop and have them measured, whatever. But that's a good starting point. These heads look good so far. We'll, when I get down to the porting and cutting the valve guides and all that, I'll do a separate video on that. You guys take care. Thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Have a great day.